Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Monday means it's Modern Monday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and we have a super spicy combo list to check out today. This is Warp World combo. Comes to us from Sato Sunsuke, who took it to a top 8 finish at a small Japanese tournament, so congrats to Sato on a super cool deck. A quick reminder before we break down Warp World combo for Modern. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So let's talk Warp World, starting with, of course, Warp World, and Warp World is a crazy card. It is expensive, 8 mana, and basically what it does is when it resolves, each player shuffles everything, all their permanents, into their library, and then you reveal that many cards from the top of your library and put all the permanents into play. Artifacts, creatures, lands, enchantments, they all go into play. The rest of the stuff goes into the bottom of the library. So the idea of Warp World in this deck is that we can build it into a combo finish, but the way you build around it is kind of twofold. So Warp World is asking us to do two things. First, it wants lots of permanents on the battlefield. Cards that can put 2 permanents or more on the battlefield are very important, because that's how we break the symmetry. If we just go land, our opponent plays land, 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 creature, creature. When we resolve Warp World, we're going to get about the same amount of benefit as our opponent. If we each have 8 permanents when it resolves, or 10 permanents when it resolves, we might not come out ahead in that transaction. But if we can play cards that put multiple permanents on the battlefield, so when we resolve Warp World, we have, let's say, 15 permanents, and our opponent has 10 permanents, then we're essentially drawing 5 cards and putting them directly onto the battlefield. So that's one of the things. The other thing we need to do is just ramp into it, because 8 mana is a lot. So we're kind of focused on cards that do both of those things. As far as ramping, we have Khalni-Heart Expedition and Wayfarer's Bauble. Now, Khalni-Heart Expedition in specific is sweet because it's a card that puts multiple cards on the battlefield. Has landfall. Once it gets 3 counters from landfalling, we can sack it and double rampant growth, put 2 basic lands on the battlefield. So one Khalni-Heart Expedition, after we sack it, is actually 2 lands on the battlefield, which is putting us ahead on that permanent count for when we resolve our Warp World. Wayfarer's Bauble, just some early game ramp. Works well after Warp World. It goes on the battlefield, it's untapped, so we can sack it to get a land out. So it's important there post Warp World. We also have Sakura-Tribe Elder, Wood Elf. So in theory, Wood Elves is another card that puts 2 permanents on the battlefield. We get the 1/1 body and the land. Sakura-Tribe Elder, just some more ramping, getting those lands out of our deck, like Wayfarer's Bauble. Good after Warp World as well, because it comes on the battlefield, we sack it, we get another land. So this is kind of our early game plan. We just ramp, 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 ramp. Eventually this gets us to Primeval Titan, which is our big payoff for Warp World. So if you think about Primeval Titan in this deck, comes down on 6, immediately gets 2 lands, plus the body on the battlefield. So that's 3 permanents on the battlefield for 1 card that we're spending. Plus, with this being 6 mana, 2 more lands puts us to 8 mana, which means the very next turn we get to Warp World and theoretically just win the game with Warp World. So Primeval Titan, beyond Warp World itself, is our biggest payoff, our best card in our deck. It's what we're doing our ramping towards. Primeval Titan and then hopefully Warp World. So let's go back to Warp World for a minute. How do we actually win the game with Warp World? Of course, if we just get more permanents than our opponent, we get a bunch of Primeval Titans and Sakura-Tribe Elders. In theory, that could help us win the game, but we're trying to set up a condition where Warp World just wins the game on its own. So we have a few creatures that are mostly for comboing with Warped World. So Tireless Tracker is step 1. Once we Warp World, we put, let's say, 15 permanents on the battlefield. Hopefully one of those is Tireless Tracker. Tireless Tracker enters the battlefield. Then we also get all the lands from Warp World. So let's say we have 8 lands enter the battlefield. That means we're going to get 8 clue tokens with Tireless Tracker, which are 8 permanents for our second Warp World. So Tireless Tracker is basically setting us up for Warp World number 2, and even if the first Warp World only puts us ahead a few cards, maybe we got 15 permanents, our opponent has 10 permanents, the next Warp World is going to put us ahead like 10 cards or 15 cards, a huge amount of cards, because our opponent's Warp World's not going to be good. They're going to have spells in their deck that don't go on the battlefield. We're going to have all these clue tokens. Lotus Cobra lets us cast that other Warp World right away, enters the battlefield, then all the lands from Warp World enter the battlefield. We get a ton of mana for that, so we have a ton of mana to crack our clues, to find more Warp Worlds, or just hardcast a Warp World that we happen to have in hand. And then Eternal Witness just gives back Warp World. So if we hit these creatures, Tireless Tracker, bunch of clues, Lotus Cobra, tons of mana, Eternal Witness, get back Warp World, then we just immediately Warp World again a second time, and that's when the game winning starts. So we're Warp Worlding into Valakut the Molten Pinnacle along the way. We got full 4 Valakuts. We also have a ton of mountains, 7 mountains, a bunch of Cinderglades, some Stomping Grounds. So in theory, once we Warp World for like 25, for 30, with all those clue tokens, Eternal Witness getting it back, Lotus Cobra mana, we're just going to get a lethal amount of mountains in Valakut. If we don't quite have enough, we can sack our Wayfarer's Bauble, we can sack a Sakura-tribe Elder, we can use Wood Elves to tutor up a Stomping Ground to Cinderglade, so we get more lands out of our deck there as well with all those creatures, and just Valakut our opponent into oblivion from all the stuff we're putting into play from Warp World. So that's our big combo finish. That's what we're building towards. So ramp in the early game, get multiple permanents on the battlefield with some cards, play the Primeval Titan to set up the Warp World into Tireless Tracker, Eternal Witness, Lotus Cobra, and then we win the game with Valakut. Far as the rest of the mana base, just some fetch lands, a couple of forests. Sideboard-wise, we get some removal. Anger of the Gods, Engineered Explosives is Sweeper. Sorcerer's Spyglass, Reclamation Sage can take care of stuff on the battlefield. Relic for graveyards. Obstinate Baloth to gain a bit of life against aggro since we're a bit slow trying to play 8 mana stuff. And that is Warp World for Modern, and that's our instant deck tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.